stories. President Bongbong Marcos has extended the lower tariffs on rice, corn, and pork products until the end of 2024. Some agri-groups, however, do not agree with that decision.
Call it a post-Christmas gift for our workers in Hong Kong. The territory has raised the minimum monthly wage for foreign domestic helpers. We'll get updates on that, as well as other news concerning our OFWs with Department of Migrant Workers, OIC Hans and Leo Kantak, later on the show.
And 2024 is just around the corner. Have you listed down your resolutions? We'll get tips on how to start it right with life coach Ellen Perez.
Welcome to the show. I'm Dani Laurel.
I'm Riza Diaz.
And I'm Angela Lagunzat.
We begin tonight with some groups opposing the move to extend the tariff cuts on rice and pork for yet another year. But let's back up a little bit. The lower tariffs were first implemented back in May of 2021. That was under the order of former President Duterte to respond to the rising prices of certain agricultural goods. Now, tariffs, or the tax imposed on imported pork, were brought down to 15 to 25%, corn to 5 to 15%, and rice to 35%. And this was extended by President Marcos through Executive Order 10, issued in 2022, which is set to expire on December 31st. But now the administration has decided to further extend this order for 2024. Agriculture group SINAG, or the Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura, rejects this move, saying that it only benefits importers at the expense of local producers.
Nasaan yung nakinabang consumer? Hindi naman pinapasok ng importers. Again, yung kanilang kinita sa pagtitipid niya sa lower tariff, never naman siya napasa sa consumer.
Right, so a big issue here, no? Because on the one hand, it is protecting consumers. So
Correct.
it's keeping, at least at minimum, keeping the prices the same. And this, of course, is the reason for this extension is also because there's going to be an expected drought due to El Nino.
Yes.
So because of that, lower production na naman here. And so more expensive goods, we might need to be importing. We might not have enough for production. And so trying to lower the tariffs for that, not having to pass that on to consumers. But on the other hand, ayan, you've got these agricultural groups like SINAG saying, paano na kami, di ba? Ang mahal-mahal to produce, tapos ibababa nyo pa yung imports.
Magkakaroon talaga ng opposition from local producers, especially because when you lower the tariff, there will be more imported products coming in because it's attractive, to these foreign, investors. But at the same time, again, it's parang, di ba, unfair for the local producers on top of the other problems, like you said, the El Nino that's looming, and smuggling. Ang daming problema. But the government is such in a difficult position because you want to help the consuming public.
And at the same time, you want to help the government as well.
But they're losing money. The government's going to be losing money taxes-wise because hindi nga tataas yung taripa.
Sabi nila, yun lang yung magiging for the government. Mababawasan lang sila ng kita. But at the end of the day, this is just going to be another band-aid solution, continuous band-aid solution. And syempre, ang sinasabi ng mga in the agri-sectors, diba, mas maganda that we have a long-term solution, like really boosting our local production.
The issue is, you've also got trade restrictions now in some countries, diba? You even had India earlier in the year saying they're not going to be exporting rice. So if we have such few countries na lang to be importing from, mahirap na rin for our supply.
Right. But according to the price monitoring of the Department of Agriculture, kahit mababa na daw ang buwis ng importers, hindi pa rin naman bumababa yung presyo ng baboy. Habang ang presyo ng bigas, lalo daw tumataas kumpara nung, mas mahal pa yung tariff. Let's say, sa bigas, rice was at around 36 pesos to 45 pesos back in 2001. Ngayon, nasa 56 pesos na. Pork kasim was at 370 pesos 2 years ago. Now it's at 340 pesos. Konting diferensya. Liempo, if you buy on a kilo basis, 400 back in 2021. Now it's the same. So, yung interest, yun yung pinag-uusapan nila dyan. Because again, hindi naman natin ganun siyang nararamdaman.
But I mean, if you put back the tariffs, di ba? Paano na?
Paano na tayo? Okay. Exactly. But agri-group SINAG also warns that lower tariffs could even push rice prices up. So why is that? Shaila Francisco gives us the details on that. Shaila, go ahead.
That's right, Angela. Sinag fears that instead of the EO extension helping to manage inflation, it could even bring up the prices of rice. Sinag Executive Director Jason Kainglet says local farmers may be discouraged to plant more crops due to both the impact of lower tariff and the El Nino.
Pumasok itong mga imports, mamumroblema tayo kung sa panahon ng anihan, maraming stocks, hindi mamimili ang mga millers at traders.
When it comes to pork, AGA party list fears that supplies will start to dwindle by June 2024. As early as now, hog raisers are eyeing to lower production due to a possible slump in profits amid the tariff reduction.
Sigurado riyan ay hindi magpaparami or hindi babalik yung mga na dating nag-aalaga ng baboy. Dahil at maaaring tumigil yung iba sapagkat nalugi nga eh.
The groups are now calling on the government to revise its strategy to arrest inflation to encourage more local production. They also suggested the implementation of suggested retail price on these products to keep prices manageable. But the NAIA says SRP on these products is hard to monitor. They say the country needs to focus for now on augmenting supply through imports.
Nakaabang yung mga iba pang interventions ng gobyerno kasi nakikita rin namin ito as a temporary solution. Talagang ang permanent solution pa rin is to improve the productivity of the sector.
To assess its effectiveness, President Marcos ordered the NAIA to conduct a review on the EO extension possibly by the first half of 2024. Angela?
Yes, Shaila, just to follow up on your report, meron bang contribution? Okay, all right, sige. Thank you so much, Shaila.
Meanwhile, you've got 4 groups vying to secure the 170 billion peso contract to rehabilitate the NAIA. The Transportation Department accepted bids from the Manila International Airport Consortium, the Asian Airport Consortium, GMR Airports Consortium, and SMC SAP and Company Consortium. After today's submission of bid documents, the DOTR will open the floor for technical and financial bid assessments. The department is expected to announce the winning bidder for the 15-year concession by the first quarter of next year.
Of course, you all know that this airport is already very congested with a capacity of only around 32 million, but handling almost 50 million passengers. We're expecting that this airport, when turned over to the private sector, will increase capacity up to 60 million passengers.
All right, so here we are again with who is going to rehabilitate NAIA. This is already such a big deal pre-pandemic.
Yes.
There was already going to be an award, or it was already awarded tapos hindi natuloy, di ba?
Because of some issues.
Exactly, and you've got, at the moment, I think I might be mistaken, but it's something like just above 30 million passengers yung kaya.
Yes.
And we are doing around 60 million, ika nga.
Yes.
So that's much more than the capacity. And we need somebody to fix this problem as soon as possible. We had all these other issues. Recall yung New Year's. I don't know if you remember that. Last New Year mismo.
January 1.
Yeah,
diba?
this year there was
the
the power
outage?
outage. 300 flights were affected in that year and the start of the year, 65,000 passengers. Meron din Labor Day power outage na nangyari this year. So,
One
nakakatakot
problem
na.
on top of the other, and this is so timely. I'm excited for it. I'm trying to keep my mouth shut because I have nothing good to say about my airport experience. But this is a welcome development. So,
I hope that this bid will push through.
Correct.
Kasi nga, tulad nung nabanggit ni Danny kanina, previous attempts to modernize the gateway were hampered by disputes between airport authorities, we have contractors, and yun nga, potential bidders.
So at least we're attracting too a lot of bidders. That's a good thing.
Exactly.
That's a
But
good thing.
again, this is going to just be a 15-year concession because the long-term plan of the government is, of course, to keep the airports
right.
outside.
Yes.
But this is
15
very-
years, but extendable to 10 years.
Okay.
Still, airport somehow. 2 victims of human trafficking were rescued by authorities at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. Investigations reveal that an airport employee allegedly assisted in the smuggling of the victims. According to the Bureau of Immigration, now the two passengers claimed that they are friends that are going to vacation to Thailand. However, upon questioning by the immigration officer, it was discovered that their true destination is Dubai, where they plan to work. The person who recruited them there apparently only got to know through social media.
Sila po ay na-recruit via social media. Inalok po sila ng trabaho as household service workers. Ang offer po sa kanila is I think 25 to 30,000 na salary kada buwan. Pero ang pag-alis po nila ay turista sila. Magpapanggap umano sila na turista papuntang Thailand. Pero ang tunay po na destination nila is really Dubai.
The employee who allegedly helped the two victims has not been named yet. It is still being investigated which department the employee is from and if there are other accomplices. The Manila International Airport Authority is also investigating the incident, stating that they will not tolerate such actions.
Hindi po namin ito tinotolerate. Ang sino man, mga tao na na-involved sa ganitong mga illegal activities, especially this kind of human trafficking, despite na marami na pong report before, ay isang hindi magandang halimbawa. At sino man ma-involved po dito na employee ng MIA, mayroong sapat na kaparasan kung sila'y mapapatunayan. Pwede po sila matanggal ng trabaho dito sa MIA at mawalan ng mga benepisyo.
Up next, we'll get some updates on OFWs affected by conflicts abroad from Migrant Workers Undersecretary Leo Hans Kakdak. Stay with us. Watching the big story here on One News.
Now, some Filipino families continue to anticipate updates on their members who are OFWs caught in areas of conflict, be it in Israel or the Red Sea, especially this holiday season. Joining us tonight to discuss the recent developments affecting Filipinos abroad is Migrant Workers OIC, Yusek Leo Hans Kakdak. Sir, welcome to the big story.
Yes, evening to all of you and your televiewers. Good evening po sa lahat.
Sir, the International Bargaining Forum designate the southern section of the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait leading into the Gulf of, is it Aden, as a high-risk area. Your agency, what are your thoughts? Are you welcoming this development and what changes can we expect?
Yes, of course, we welcome this development as early as November, late November. when the incidents in the Red Sea pertaining to the ships Galaxy Leader and Central Park took place, we had already approached the social partners, the representatives of the International Transport Workers Federation, the AMOSOP here in the Philippines, as well as the representative of the International Maritime Employers Council here in the Philippines, about expanding the high-risk areas or zones in the Red Sea for the better protection of seafarers. And we're so glad that our calls were at least considered or heeded. We had a dialogue with the International Transport Federation Secretary General about a couple of weeks ago, and we supported their call for stronger protection of seafarers along the that are in ships that navigate the Red Sea. And of course, the recent decision of the IBF, the International Bargaining Forum, the venue where both seafarers and our employers, ship owners groups meet on a global level, had approved the expansion of the high-risk zones is indeed a very welcome development. More seafarers will be better protected as a result of this.
Sir, can you explain specifically how they will be better protected? What is the plan to protect them? Just a week ago, we already had another attack launched on them.
Okay. When an area is designated as a high-risk zone by the International Bargaining Forum, it essentially means three things. One, a seafarer has the right to refuse sailing once he or she learned that the ship will traverse or will travel through, navigate a high-risk zone. If the seafarer so refuses to sail, then there will be repatriation to be provided by the ship owner with at least 2 months basic wage compensation. Okay. Now, if the seafarer decides to sail, having learned that the ship will navigate the red zone, the high-risk zone, then the seafarer is entitled to a bonus of the entire amount of a basic wage, or in the event of death or disability, double the compensation. And then lastly, there should be tighter or stricter security arrangements to be imposed or observed by the ship owner in such red zone areas.
Sir, are you not calling for repatriation after this happened? You're still allowing them to sail by choice?
Well, the maritime tradition or the maritime way is to give the seafarer the right to decide for himself or herself. The ships will continue to navigate so as not to disrupt world trade. It's not in our place to stop the ships from sailing. However, a seafarer has a right to know what are the perils or risks entailing in a certain voyage. So this is precisely what the expansion of the high-risk area or zone entails. So this is the better protection that we're talking about for seafarers. And as I mentioned, if seafarers do decide to sail, then they have a substantial increase in their salary, basic wage, and or compensation for death or disability.
All right. Speaking of repatriation, just 2 weeks ago, we welcomed another batch of repatriates from Israel. Are we expecting more ahead of the new year, beginning of 2024?
Yes, that's right. We're expecting our 15th batch from Israel on the 29th. That's a batch of 21. And tomorrow, we have a batch of 10 or 11 coming from Lebanon. This is the 7th batch from Lebanon. So that will bring us to a total of nearly 560 repatriates between Israel, Lebanon, Gaza, and the West Bank since October 7th, when the Israel-Hamas conflict started.
All right. Do we have any plans for them to, get back, magkaroon sila ng pagkakakitaan here in the Philippines?
Well, let me mention first and foremost that the President, since day one, had ordered a whole-of-government approach, first to monitor the well-being and safety of our OFWs in the pertinent areas that I mentioned. And then second, the repatriation, the safe repatriation of those who so choose to be repatriated. We're still on alert level 2 in Israel, which means that OFWs may still choose not to return, but if they do so choose to return, then we shall provide sufficient repatriation due to the state of war declared by the Prime Minister of Israel. So the whole of government approach basically means DMW and OWA provide financial assistance of 100,000 pesos upon arrival for each returnee. And then the DSWD, Secretary Gatchalian and his team, the DOH, Sec Ted Arposa and his team provide medical and psychosocial assistance. Sec Rex and DSWD provide livelihood and psychosocial counseling as well as financial assistance. DG Mangodadatu of TESDA provide training vouchers, training commitments. For those who wish to train at any TESDA accredited institution on any TESDA standard at TESDA accredited training program. And then of course, Secmeni Laguespa from the DOLE to facilitate the local employment of those who so choose to be employed locally. And speaking of employment, of course, at the DMW, we also provide employment assistance and livelihood assistance for medium, long-term solutions to returning OFW so that they shall be so reintegrated back to Philippine society.
Sir, still on our OFWs, your office has already revealed that thousands of OFWs in Taiwan and Hong Kong will benefit from this new wage order starting this quarter of January 2024. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, let me start with Taiwan. Taiwan has ordered, the Taiwan Ministry of Labor had ordered and mandated 4.50% increase in the monthly minimum salary. I no longer mention the Taiwan currency, so I'll just say that the salary increases from 46,378 pesos to 48,223 pesos. So that's nearly a 2,000 peso increase on a monthly basis. We project that 123,768 factory workers,
Wow.
most Filipinos in Taiwan are factory workers, will benefit from this. And there will be 17,721 projected to be hired soon, very soon, in the next 2 months, who will also stand to benefit from this increase. And as for Hong Kong, sa Hong Kong naman, it's the foreign domestic workers who stand to benefit from the increase of the minimum wage by 4,870 Hong Kong dollars or 38,000 pesos. From 36,917 pesos. So that's around 1,100 peso monthly wage increase.
Okay.
And the food allowance increase in Hong Kong from 9,300 to 9,600. So that's a 300 peso increase for food allowances. And there, we project that 196,000 Filipino domestic workers in Hong Kong will stand to benefit from this increase.
Okay. Sir, we reported earlier in the program regarding illegal trafficking. Meron pa silang supposedly somebody inside NAIA airport helping people to be illegally recruited. They were recruited via social media. On the Christmas Eve, you've also got the Bureau of Immigration releasing a statement. You've got 2 Filipinas victimized by human trafficking in Malaysia. They've now been repatriated. Give us updates on this and on the general situation of illegal trafficking and recruiting via social media.
Okay, I just sent a thank you tweet to Commissioner Norman Tancinco of the Bureau of Immigration when I got the news. This is a very welcome development as well. The Bureau of Immigration has been cracking down as of late on victims of human trafficking or attempts to traffic Filipino workers out of the country. Dubai is a fairly common target of human traffickers.
Okay.
Dubai is a good destination for Filipino workers. However, it can also attract the traffickers and victims of trafficking. So this is a classic case. They were supposed to work without having gone through the Department of Migrant Workers as domestic workers in Dubai. But they were made to pass through Bangkok and instructed to lie to immigration authorities that they they were just vacationing in Thailand. But of course, Commissioner Tansinko's immigration agents of border control officers have a way of finding out, and this is exactly what happened.
Okay.
The same is true when it comes to Malaysia and Thailand and countries where there are visa-free arrangements between the Philippines and such countries. Diba? Across ASEAN, it's visa-free. So the modus there is the human trafficker will tell the Filipino victim, you don't need a visa to work in Thailand. It's so easy, no visa necessary. But actually, we all know na ang katotohanan, the reality is, the visa-free arrangement is only for tourists
Correct.
and not workers. Meaning, if you have to work in Thailand or Malaysia or anywhere in the world, you need to have a work visa or work permit or a permission to work in that particular country. Pag visa-free, yun po ay sa mga turista. Kaya that's a fair warning to all. When you're being offered a visa-free arrangement, tourist visa, visit visa, or some other non-work visa, that's a big, big sign that you're being trafficked.
Sir, what is the penalty for these traffickers, if that's what you call them, illegal recruiters? Is there a crackdown happening? Is there some sort of penalization for them?
Well, I know that from our illegal recruitment, because this is an illegal recruitment case, the basic is six years in prison.
Okay.
If it involves 2 or 3 or more perpetrators or 3 or more victims, it's life imprisonment. So what's interesting to find out in this Dubai case, for instance, there are 2 victims, so that's less than 3. But if the person, the NAIA, the airport person who escorted them and attempted to traffic them out, has some cohorts that would make the perpetrators 3 or more, then that's life imprisonment.
So can you imagine, NAIA employee pa lang, escort na. It's a whole consolidated effort. But, sir, taking this opportunity na rin to ask you about unpaid wages. No? In Saudi Arabia, we have 10,000 OFWs were left jobless after the companies went bankrupt in 2015 and also in 2016. Kumusta po ang discussions para po masettle itong mga unpaid wages na ito, sir?
Well, we're still working with the Saudi side on this matter. And we're hoping and praying there will be a genuine solution in the first half of this year. I think I had already mentioned that I'm looking forward to meet our Saudi counterparts very soon, this month of January. I'm due to visit Saudi anyway, it's been quite a while. So I will visit Saudi Arabia and talk to our counterparts there and find ways to improve our bilateral labor relations. It's really not just the money claims that we can talk about. We can talk about domestic worker protection as well, enhancing systems and processes, review of contracts, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things to talk about with the Saudis and of course with the Saudi 2030 vision 2030 toward a more thriving economy, a more robust infrastructure and tourism-driven, finance-driven economy, then we are looking toward the possible higher job demand in Saudi. So we want to further engage the Saudi government, the Ministry of Labor there, on how to enhance labor protection and labor mobility, safe and fair labor mobility processes.
Sir, on that note, final question. Are there going to be opportunities for those seeking to work abroad, more opportunities for them coming the new year? Because there was a report that says opportunities are opening up in Canada. Can you tell us ano ba mga trabaho tong hinahanap nila, on what industry, and are there other countries too that are, welcoming more Filipino workers?
Well, I already mentioned the first one. Our traditional bilateral labor relations partner, Saudi Arabia, with their Vision 2030. We're also looking at parts of Europe like Hungary, which over the last year, under the watch of Sectut's OPLE, on a pilot program with Hungary, managed to deploy 6,000 Filipino workers, factory workers, skilled workers, office workers, and such in Hungary. So we're looking at Hungary and other places. We had a bilateral recently with Austria on the hiring of skilled workers also. Yes, the Canada, it offers itself as a continued possibility. So we are engaging Canadian provinces in bilateral labor agreements. We just entered one with Alberta and are slated to pursue other types of bilateral labor related agreements. It essentially, again, skilled, semi-skilled workers, factory workers, healthcare workers. But of course, when I say healthcare workers, we will be closely in touch with SecTed, Herbosa, and DOH to make sure that we don't have a brain drain situation when it comes to healthcare workers. Japan also, the Japan desk, which is sort of a green lane hiring facility for technical semi-skilled workers for Japan, is also a possibility. But having said all that, I need to say very, very carefully that one must go through the DMW when one is hired by all these employers in countries with legitimate job prospects. Huwag pong pumatol sa illegal recruiter. Kasi sometimes these announcements of ours are taken advantage of by illegal recruiters. They take sound bites of these announcements. So I have to say that please go through the DMW. Huwag pong pumatol sa recruiter na hindi lisensyado ng DMW.
Well, thank you, sir, for joining us and sharing with us all those news and insights. Maraming salamat. That's Migrant Workers OIC, Yusek Leo Hans Kakdak. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Pausing for a quick break. Right after that, we will be ushering in 2024 in just a few days. Ready na ba ang mga New Year's resolutions ninyo? And what about your motivation to keep them? Well, don't worry. We have with us life coach Ellen Perez to give us tips on how to succeed in those plans. More when the big story returns. Stay with us. You're back watching the big story here on One News.
In just a few days, we will be welcoming a brand new year. At sabi nga po nila, New Year, New Me, pero paano nga ba natin ma-achieve yan? Filipinos are known to be superstitious. That's why I'm sure many of you already prepared round fruits and noisemakers to usher in 2024. But aside from the physical preparations for the new year, how do we prepare our inner selves? Many of you may already have your New Year's resolutions, but how exactly do we stick to it? My number one question, may gumagawa pa ba ng New Year's resolution? But para tulungan tayo dyan, we have life coach and motivational speaker Ellen Perez here with us. Good evening, Coach Ellen. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Almost New Year's.
Yeah, almost New Year.
Christmas.
Thank you so much, The Big Story, for having me here.
Of course. But yun nga po, madaling simulan, madaling magsulat, mag-list down ng mga New Year's resolution. Pero paano ba dapat, ano po ba dapat yung mindset natin? Diba? Coming up with resolutions.
Thank you, Angela. I totally agree with you. Even I, before I became a life coach, I have those lists. I'm sure all our viewers, and same with both of you. But the key here, the question is, sustainability. How are we going to sustain it? Baka naman January lang po ito o kaya first quarter. Minsan ganun, di ba? And then after that, hindi na natin nasusustain. Well, there's just one key skill that I would like to share to everyone as a tip. It is basically persistence. You have to be persistent in your goal, in your dream, to achieve it. And speaking about mindset, diba, nabanggit mo nga kanina, the mind is the machine of our body. It dictates the motion and emotion. So, motion yung kinikilos natin or yung action, emotions yung feeling. So, let's be very careful. So, if you dictate in your mind na, okay, this 2024 medyo chill ako at tatama din, your motion will do the same thing and your emotion. So, really have to be careful about it. So, because, yun nga, the mind is a machine.
Mind over matter.
Yes, the mind is a machine of the body. As simple as, exercise. Pag sinabi mong tatama din ako, magprepare pa ako ng susuotin ko, and all of those things, hindi ka talaga makakapag-exercise, di ba? So really, at the end of the day, the encouragement as a life coach, as an accountability partner, it is really about not just the mindsetting, it is the persistence, keep moving forward,
I have a question on moving back, because some people have resolutions, know what they want for this year. Some don't even know what they want in life, diba? They don't know what career they want to do. They don't know, how much
They're
money
lost.
am I going to save? Yeah, they're lost. How can we help these people just start the new year and reinvent themselves maybe? Without thinking too much about, what exactly they need to do. Kasi baka I want to get fit, pero I don't know exactly, diba?
Yes.
What is my resolution? Oo.
Yes. Well, first and foremost, you really have to know your purpose in your life, because your purpose fuels you. So really ask yourself, ano ba yung intention ko? What's my purpose? Why am I here? Just to give you an example, before I became a life coach, I really, prayed for it, and then really have that intentionality and told myself that I'm going to be a life coach or a speaker, motivational speaker or resource speaker, on the intention of learning, helping, and earning. So if you have that goal setting and you know your purpose, it will fuel you Kasi at the end of the day, may mga moments ka dyan after few months or so, medyo magiging draggy, mayroong helpless ka. There will be some challenges that will come along your way, diba? So, ano ba yung magpapagising sa'yo? Ano yung magpapabigay sa'yo ng encouragement, diba? To uplift you. Again, you will think of your purpose. Or this is my purpose, to help people find their strength from their desperation, to become an inspiration. That's my purpose.
Coach, marami, I know, sama na ako doon. Health and fitness goals ang resolution coming into the new year, di ba? But again, it's easier said than done. Bandang huli, parang after January or February, ayaw na pumunta sa gym. How do we maintain it?
Mas masarap matulog.
Ano pwede ko? I tried before. I already paid for the
whole year.
The whole year. Para
ma-encourage ka.
Right, because I don't want to lose the money that I paid for already. And
Does it work?
It didn't.
But some things,
Sleep is
No, some
important.
things were beyond my control. So hindi ko siya natapos. But what can you, like, what can, the simple ways for us to be able to keep our fitness and health goals? Hindi na naman yung pag-workout, let's say, eating healthier.
Yes, that's very true.
Practical tips?
It is really being mindful. It's a day-to-day journey of reminding yourself of your intentionality. That this is your goal and you will not be able to achieve or attain it if you will have some lapses, if you will not focus on it, and you will not be driven. Again, it is really doing small things.
Right.
It's not about, being perfect as well, because we're not perfect. No one is perfect. So it's about progression, transformation, and doing small things one at a time.
Parang kahit small steps.
Yes, diba?
It's okay as long as you're moving forward, not backwards or
yeah.
stagnant.
Major change.
Yeah. So for instance, medyo
Bakit yung iba may,
let's say,
major?
for exercise, you can do some home exercise, diba? Chair exercise.
If you cannot go,
Yeah.
right?
Risa, ha? Sige, sige.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch accountability
So,
partner.
yeah, small things makes a lot of difference because you're starting. You're stepping to moving forward,
Right.
And then after that as well, it's important also that you're also be kind to yourself as well. Don't
pressure yourself.
Don't pressure yourself, but at the same time, be honest to yourself on your capabilities, your strengths and your limitations, diba? Reality check. Baka naman, teka, hindi mo naman kakayanin pa mga tipong let's say, ganitong kahabang
Mount Everest
exercise,
ka kaagad, diba?
Ma-hiking ka kagad, at all of those stuff na hindi ka pa naman prepared emotionally and physically. So, really assess yourself, be kind to yourself, do small things one at a time, and what's important as well as a key reminder, embrace your flaws. Embrace your stumbles, your imperfection, because from those failures, success will come in. Because you will learn from those failures and at the same time, encourage yourself to grow and to develop yourself better.
Ayun. But speaking of sabi niyo, coach nga, di ba, yung be kind to yourself. So kasama dyan yung mental health.
Of course.
Awareness. So, di ba,
Yes,
gaano po
definitely.
ba ito ka-importante? Then, paano po namin malalaman or paano namin maalagaan yung sarili namin when it comes to mental health?
It is important that your cup is full, meaning to say you are content of who you are, you embrace yourself, your uniqueness, and then also you set boundaries. Kasi tayo mga Pilipino talaga likas sa atin yung mapagbigay eh. Sabi ko nga naghahanap ka ng yakap sa iba pero yung sarili mo hindi mo niyayakap. Diba? So embrace yourself, hug yourself, make sure that you love yourself. Basic, do you drink 8 glasses or more of water a day? Dahil dyan, inom tayo ng tubig.
I'm hugging myself, you're drinking water.
That's a basic self-care, di ba? Eto, I'm sure, sa next question to, nakakatulog ba tayo ng 8 hours in a day, di ba? Di ba?
Children, mahirap yan. Di ba? With young kids. Oo.
And that's very important, and that's mental health,
Right.
self-care.
But on that note, after COVID, there's been a shift, diba?
Yes.
During pandemic, everyone just suffered so much mental health-wise, and now parang, people are quitting jobs that they don't like, cutting toxic people, diba? It's a completely change of mindset. How do we balance between YOLO, you only live once. Now, we've lost so many people in the pandemic. Ako kasi I'm having a struggle with that Parang I want to save money for the future, but at the same time, you know what? I can also, die at any time. And I saw how money doesn't really give much at the end of the day. So how can I be encouraged to save money, but at the same time, enjoy what little time we have on this earth? How are we supposed to balance that?
It's a matter of really you're prioritizing things. It's really important that we save at least 50% or half of our earnings, and I'm pretty much sure most of us has this what we call extra job, racket or whatnot,
side
diba?
hustle.
Side hustle, because these days it's really a challenging, difficult days, right? So really have to save for the future. And you'll never know, that future may just be the next day because, di ba? You'll never know what will happen next. So at the same time, it's important as well that you pamper yourself, not really just about traveling, you know, not just about really buying all of those things, material things. What's really important is investing on your growth, investing on something that will, you know, polish your career, you know, like let's say if you are into broadcasting, why not enroll into different kind of journalism, effective broadcast speaking engagement, all of those things. If you are an artist or let's say an architect or into different kind of fields, if you are a content creator, learn from experts, you know, invest on yourself. That's really something that is very critical and important in our time now because
That's not a waste of money.
exactly.
And parang it's like investing in things that cannot be taken away from you.
Yes.
Kasi knowledge yun.
Yes, knowledge, skills,
Experience.
experience. You develop your skills, you strengthen yourself, and you broaden your horizon.
Yun.
Right.
I also wanna go back a little lang sa sinabi kasi tumatak talaga sa isip ko yung sabi niya, be content sa sarili mo. Embrace your uniqueness, embrace your imperfections. Kasi nga, in the age of social media, hindi mo maalis yung comparison
Yes.
ng mga tao na nakikita nila in social media. And sabi nga nila, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
So, paano yun, di ba? For others na talagang nakatutok lang sila sa social media.
You have to discipline yourself. Discipline really is the key as well. Mahalaga na alam mo yung kakayahan mo at kalidad mo sa buhay. Kasi if you are of a person who value your worth, you don't have to compare yourself. You'll not be cheated on comparison. Kahit ano pang sabihin ng iba, you know where you stand, you know your strength, you know your contributions to your community. You can be your own queen, your own beautiful, significant person to where you belong, whether in what industry it is. Mahalaga talaga na you have also a good relationship with God and you have that faith so that, you know, hindi ka matitinag. And it's important as well that you have people who believes in you. Surround yourself with good people who believe in you so that, you know, you'll also feel good.
All right,
There
there you
on
go.
that
Good
note.
people.
Surround yourself with good people.
everyone.
Thank you so much for your insights, Life Coach Miss Ellen Perez.
Thank you as
Happy New
well.
Year, ma'am.
Happy New Year as well. Thank you so much.
So after a festive past few days, the 2023 Metro Manila Film Festival Gabi ng Parangal is finally here as the winners are set to be announced. Now earlier on, a red carpet was held where the stars of the 10 MMFF films arrived for the awards night. Now, leading the deliberation is the chairman of this year's festival, award-winning director Chito Ronyo, and his vice chairman, the Grand Slam Best Actress Lorna Tolentino. Now, with the anticipation at the all-time high, everyone is making a clamor on social media on their favorite MMFF 2023 entries. Speaking of which, two films have been making the rounds on social media. Gomburza was recently rated as the highest MMFF 2023 film on the letterbox D. Now, that's on top of the wide praises that the film received from historians and critics. Pinduko has likewise been making rounds on social media. Flash on your screens are the malls where you can actually watch the action-packed film. All right, so Best Child Performer, Ewan ba to? Ewan Mikhail, Firefly.
Wow.
Best Sound, Gomburza. Oh, these are updates
Yes.
from the
Now
awards.
na,
Oh,
now
galing
na.
naman.
Oo.
And Best Musical Score, Malyari. Best Original Theme Song,
Fingerlick.
oh wow, mas magaling.
Sabi ko, finger.
Ang galing ni Angela. And Best Visual Effects, Malyari. Best Editing, Kampon has bagged that award. Best Prod Design, Gomburza. Congratulations. Best Editing, Kampon. And so far, Best Cinematography, Kumburza. I wanna
So,
watch
hindi pa tapos
Kumburza.
yung
Ano, watch Kumburza.
final
No,
winner.
not yet. Because
tayo.
we are still waiting for the best picture, best actor.
Exactly. Or all the films we should support. Of course, birthday Maurice, let's do it.
Sige.
Diba?
Sama ako. And before we go, let's get some updates on Firecracker-related injuries in the country. Patuloy nating babantayan ang bilang ng mga aksidenteng napuputukan hanggang sa pagsalubong sa bagong taon. Let's bring in JC Cosico for the details. JC, go ahead.
And 6 individuals so far have been brought here in Tondo Medical Center in Manila due to firecracker injuries. Now, more victims are expected to be brought to hospitals as New Year approaches. Now, over the past week, there has been a noticeable upward trend in firecracker incidents in the country, as reported by the Health Department. Since yesterday until early morning, 23 new cases of fireworks injuries have been recorded. In total, the number of those injured has reached 75. Among the leading causes of injury are firecrackers, 5-star, kuitis, piccolo, plapla, sparklers, and whistle bombs.
Mamili kayo. Anong gusto nyo? Makapagpaputok na sandaling kaligayahan pero tanggal ang isang daliri mo at mahirapan ka na maglaro ng computer games. Magsaya tayo sa New Year kasama ang ating pamilya, kumain ng masarap at huwag magpunta sa emergency room.
And as early as now, the Tondo Medical Center expects the influx of patients past 12 midnight on January 1. But they are sure that their surgeons are on duty on New Year's Eve. But before that, the DOH will be visiting hospitals to check on their readiness for the new year. Back to you.
Thank you so much, JC Cosico. And that's the show for tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thank you and good night.